There's a guy named Norm Eisen. I don't even know what he looks like. His name is Norm Eisen of Crew. He's been after me for 9 years.
I'm joined now by Norm Eisen. Norm, that clip right there that we just watched was Donald Trump name-checking you during a speech that, of course, was watched by the entire nation, to say nothing of the fact that it was delivered in front of the Department of Justice. Can I have your reaction first and foremost to Donald Trump dragging your name into this speech?
Brian, I take the fact that the president lashed out in that way as an acknowledgement that he doesn't like losing in court. Myself and my colleagues at the State Democracy Defenders Fund have been winning a lot in stopping his unconstitutional and illegal conduct. Whenever we have a truly big win, it stimulates this kind of lash out from the president. It happened when I secured a court order protecting 6,000 people who are associated with the Department of Justice, FBI agents that he was targeting simply for doing their job. We protected them from Donald Trump's targeting of them. And then this week, of course, and you and I talked about it all week long, we had our big success with our partners, our wonderful colleagues and clients in a San Francisco federal courtroom where we protected tens of thousands of wrongly fired government employees from illegal firing, got an order reinstating them, declaring that, of course, there was no basis to fire them. So if Donald Trump thinks that these kinds of attacks are going to slow me down or stop me, he's got another thing coming. On the contrary, it's a backhanded compliment that is only going to spur me and my colleagues at the State Democracy Defenders Fund and all of the people we work with to go even harder to defend the Constitution, to defend the laws of the country, and to push back on Donald Trump, who's violating those standards every day and making us all more dangerous. We're going to continue working for the American people.
Well, Norm, I can say first and foremost on behalf of literally everybody who's watching this right now that is the exact degree of fight that we have been so desperate for on the left. So thank you, on behalf of everybody watching, not just for what you're doing in the courts, but also for doing it with this mentality of like, eye on the ball, let's keep going forward, forget what Trump says to try to offer some type of a chilling effect. We have a job to do, let's do it. I am curious in the aftermath of the person with the biggest megaphone on the face of the earth offering up your name specifically during a speech. What does the immediate aftermath of that look like for you personally?
Brian, it's so emblematic of this moment in our democracy, these past couple months since Donald Trump took power, because yes, there are threats that come in and hassles, harassment, social media, and otherwise. But for every one of those, there's two or more people who are providing support and love and encouragement and go get them. And so it makes me think of this period since January 20th, where we've been in court almost every day. We've filed or worked on dozens of cases, literally helped tens of thousands of people. Every time Donald Trump thinks he's going to flood the zone with his illegal conduct, we and the other great lawyers and organizations that do this work are meeting flood the zone with rule of law, shock and awe, 2 for 1. Yeah. And he's losing again and again in court because his behavior is so illegal. It does violate the Constitution and laws. So, there is a silver lining to these dark times. And I believe that the public opposition is growing. The courts are pushing back on him. And the ultimate safeguard is the American people. And they now see what he's doing, and they're not happy about it. And if the past hour or so is any judge, they're very supportive of those who are defending the rule of law because I've gotten a lot of attaboys.
And you've got one more here, so so I just
Thank
want to
you.
make that clear.
Thank
Norm,
you.
I know that what Trump relies on mostly is the fact that when he issues his edicts, when he sends down his clarion call and mobilizes his army of followers, that the goal for him is really to have a chilling effect on folks, not to push back against him. You've made it abundantly clear what your goal is in pushing back and not being distracted by any of his tactics here, including name checking you during his speech. But what's your message more broadly to folks who are inevitably going to get caught up in his web, who are going to get name checked by him, and that includes prosecutors, that includes judges, it includes lawyers, anybody who he perceives as a threat to his unchecked power? What do you say to those people?
Uh, Brian, I say to them, I got you. I have your back, and so do the thousands of wonderful attorneys, organizations, plaintiffs, clients, supporters, members of your and my social media communities.
Yeah.
We've got you, and we are strong if we are together. That's part of the reason Brian called me right away. His first question was, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm more motivated than ever." Second question was, "Will you come on the show?" And we're doing this together. And so they should know that they will not be alone when the spotlight turns to them. And I think if we stand together, we are stronger than the bully in chief, whose, by the way, poll numbers are plummeting. They are now deeply underwater and sinking fast.
Norm, I think one instance to your exact point, and you alluded to this before, as to why Trump is so upset to the point where he needed to name check you, is because you won a huge case just a few days ago that really pushes back on one of his biggest hopes, which was to be able to fire en masse all of these probationary employees. So can you speak about that big court win just a few days back?
Donald Trump has unfairly and wrongly uh, targeted our hardworking government employees, federal government employees. Brian, they're the ones who keep our nuclear materials safe at the Department of Energy, keep the planes in the air at the FAA, deal with bird flu at the USDA. They're people who are helping us all. They answer the phones when we pick up the call with a Social Security question. They fight our fires. He fired them all. Tens of thousands of people across the government, uh, called probationary employees. These are people who are in their first year of employment, first or second year, or who have just been promoted and are new
Right. So,
to a
so
new
to that point,
position.
just as a quick aside, these are people who are promoted to a new position. So it's not even that those folks, which is to say nothing of the fact that just because you're in your first or second year of government does not mean that you're unqualified.
It's both.
But just having these people who are promoted inherently, that means that there was a reason to promote them in the first
They
place.
were
And so
successful.
correct. They're getting punished now because they were successful enough to have earned a promotion.
And this is what keeps our government alive because even there's the ones who are promoted and there's also the new employees. These
Right.
are the next generations
Right.
helping us all. But we've seen Donald Trump's wrecking ball swing across the government. Brian, the planes are supposed to be staying up and bird flu is supposed to be coming down, not
Yeah.
the opposite.
Right.
Okay. And Donald Trump, and it's very unpopular with the American people. They can see that it's taking Trump, Musk, and Doge. They're taking a chainsaw to the government willy nilly. So we went to court to protect these people who help all Americans keep all Americans safe. Tens of thousands of probationary employees, and on Thursday in a federal courtroom in San Francisco. The judge ruled that the firings were illegal at major agencies across the government, that they must stop, and that those who have been fired need to be reinstated. No wonder Donald Trump was angry.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only win we've had. Just the day before that, he fired the head. Another thing he's doing is going after the labor movement. He fired the head of the FLRA, the Federal Labor Relations Authority. Again, totally illegal, no basis for it. unconstitutionally claims he has absolute power. Well, he's not a king. And we won that case. We got an order saying no, she has to be reinstated. And, we've been in court with him constantly. We've been winning. We in the coalition's a big coalition, wonderful groups who've been doing this. Labor movement, ACLU, public citizen, democracy groups. And so Donald Trump doesn't like that. He's targeting me. You know what? It's the finest backhanded compliment you could ask for, and it's only a motivator. And I know my colleagues, they've been calling me from across the movement, offering me encouragement, and they feel the same way, that this shows what we're doing is working. We're stopping the autocracy in its tracks.
Norm, a lot of what Trump relies on as he continues to try and gut all of these career civil servants from the federal government is that he can wreak all his havoc, and then knowing full well that even if this stuff gets overturned, he'll still see a certain degree of attrition, right? Some of these folks have already gotten different jobs. Some of these folks are so disillusioned with the process that they're probably not going to come back. And so knowing that you're winning these cases, is there a way to prevent Trump to continue gutting other federal agencies in advance of it happening? Or do you need it to happen before you have standing to bring the next lawsuit?
You do need it to happen, but here's the beneficial effect that we've seen, Brian. Because there's been well over 100 lawsuits, and he's lost again and again and again. The net effect of it is to puncture his bubble of impunity, the
Right.
impression that he can do this stuff, to make courts extremely skeptical. It has a cumulative effect.
Right.
And then, in my case on Thursday, the judge cut off future illegality. So he can't do this same thing again and again. You need that hook of some actual harm, but then you're able to go to court and push back on it. And that's what we've been able to do. And I'm one of thousands of people. So happens Donald Trump singled me out today. But really, what he's doing is saying, I'm losing in court. They're stopping me. They're frustrating me, and I'm upset about it. But for us, it's the flip side. We're winning, and we're going to keep going. And so that has some of that preventative effect.
Norm, to that point, look, I think it's especially important to focus on what you and state democracy defenders are actually doing, the fact that you're putting yourselves out there, that you are actually joining this fight. You're not just talking, you're doing. I know that there are going to be folks who want to help you, who are looking for fighters out there. And so how can folks who are watching right now help your efforts?
Come to the State Democracy Defenders Fund website. There's a link you can click to contribute, but you can also
I'm going to put that link right here on the screen embedded, and I'm also going to put it in the post description of this video. So anybody watching, you'll have no problem finding it.
Thank you, Brian. And by supporting our work, whether you make a financial contribution or you just learn about all the cases, I'll warn you in advance, there's a long list of cases that we've brought and won on the website. You can be part of this peaceful, lawful, but vigorous effort to push back on the autocracy in our country. And the best thing about it, Brian, is the lawsuits stop Trump, but they also give people hope. Yeah. I have found that there's a hunger out in the country and much more. I know you cover this. The mainstream media doesn't always. The energy out there to object to authoritarianism, to work for the restoration of our American democracy and to make it even better is so strong. And we're seeing that spontaneously all over the country, tens of thousands of people protesting in various ways. God bless you for doing that. And, of course, for supporting State Democracy Defenders Fund and me.
Well, Norm, again, look, everyone is looking for the fighters right now. That is going to be what protects this democracy from the worst impulses of this administration, and you are chief among them. So thanks for the work you're doing. Again, for everybody watching right now, if you want to support Norm and his team, check out the link in the post description of this video for State Democracy Defenders. Norm Eisen, appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, as always, Brian.